The year is 1618. The streets of London are cramped and filthy, the River Thames an open sewer, and death a constant companion to all who dwell in this sprawling metropolis. But even in a city accustomed to suffering, some horrors stand apart from the mundane cruelty of everyday life. In the shadow of St. Paul's Cathedral, a man named Fulke Guillemotte walks purposefully through the narrow lanes of Newgate. The French surgeon has become a familiar sight at the infamous prison, his services requested by the warden himself. Officials whisper that he tends to sick inmates out of Christian charity. They couldn't be more wrong. For 2 years, Guillemotte had been granted special access to the bodies of executed criminals. An arrangement beneficial to all the prison cleared its gallows. Medical students received cadavers for study, and families too poor to claim their condemned relatives' bodies were spared the indignity of seeing them rot on gibbets. But Guillemotte harbored darker ambitions beneath his physician's oath. On this particular morning, a shopkeeper passing by the surgeon's residence noticed something peculiar: blood seeping from beneath Guillemotte's door, trickling in a thin crimson line across the cobblestones. When constables broke down the door, what they discovered defied comprehension. Inside the surgeon's chambers lay the partially dissected remains of 17 bodies, men and women in various states of dismemberment. Most disturbing of all, only 9 could be identified as having come from Newgate Prison. The others bore no marks of execution. Records from Guillemotte's subsequent interrogation reveal a confession that shocked even the hardened prison officials. The surgeon admitted to harvesting not just the dead, but the dying, and in at least 3 documented cases, perfectly healthy individuals who had the misfortune of being destitute, without family, and easily lured with promises of work or shelter. They would have died forgotten in the streets anyway, Guillemotte reportedly told the magistrate. I gave their bodies purpose. What truly disturbed authorities, however, wasn't just the French surgeon's ghoulish collection, but what had been doing with certain parts. Hidden behind a false wall in his sleeping quarters, investigators discovered dozens of carefully preserved organs suspended in spirits of wine. Each jar meticulously labeled not with anatomical terms, but with descriptions like courage, melancholy, and wickedness, as though Guillemotte believed he could isolate and study the physical manifestations of human character. Most chilling was his journal, where he documented his gruesome experimentation with clinical detachment. Guillemotte wrote of transplanting organs between cadavers before their final death, believing he could transfer traits from one human to another, a primitive and macabre forerunner to modern medical transplantation, centuries ahead of his time, but guided by medieval superstition rather than science. For his crimes, Fulke Guillemotte was hanged at Tyburn in December of 1618, his body afterwards subjected to the same fate as his victim's dissection before a public audience of medical students. But here lies the strangest twist to this macabre tale. The night before his scheduled execution, the prison chaplain reported visiting Guillemotte's cell and finding him in surprisingly good spirits. I have succeeded where others have failed, the condemned man allegedly whispered. What I have learned shall not die with me. The chaplain thought little of it, the ravings of a desperate man facing the gallows. But when authorities arrived to transport Guillemotte to Tyburn the next morning, they discovered his cell empty, the locks untouched, the guards swearing no one had entered or left. 3 days later, a body matching Guillemotte's description was discovered hanging from the same Tyburn tree where he was to be executed, as though he had kept his appointment with the executioner through supernatural means. The corpse was quickly buried in an unmarked grave. In the centuries since, at least 7 men bearing a striking resemblance to Guillemotte's description have been documented working as surgeons across Europe, the last sighting recorded in Vienna in 1908. How much truth lies in this grisly tale? Court records confirm Guillemotte's crimes and scheduled execution. The mystery of his empty cell and subsequent appearance at Tyburn remains unexplained. As for the sightings of his doppelgangers across centuries, perhaps some secrets of human anatomy remain beyond our understanding, even today.